DC Dark Legion is about to change forever. And I know if I keep using that as a tagline anytime we talk about some of these fundamental changes in the game, it's going to become less powerful. But I'm not exaggerating when I say the game is heading in a direction that is the not necessarily the complete opposite from where it was heading previously, but we're going down this path where we're going into a true ship combat 4X style strategy game. There's no such thing as a hybrid DC Dark Legion anymore. And I want to just kind of talk a little bit about the dynamic of what we have expected as a player base versus what we're getting now and what we can expect to see in the future. Now, I put out a video recently talking about the Q1 2026 roadmap. You can see it here. And we talked a little bit about world map expansions, the new Dark Invasion feature, which is these like world bosses that we're going to be fighting against, the solo convoy missions, Absolute Krypton Rush, and the recruitment drive. So, we'll skip the Absolute Krypton Rush and the recruitment drive piece of it. Those are things that we've already talked about, but I really want to focus in on these first three things that are coming in this roadmap. When this game first came out in beta and, as it progressed into the portrait version from Landscape, we had some world map elements, but those world map elements were actually, you could go click into the world map and it would take you into a screen where you could actually free look, roam around on the map. Now they've started to add some of that stuff back, but they really have kind of abandoned story mode over the last few months in favor of focusing on more of the ship combat build out for game modes. So the way the world map is going to be working in the future is much more of a ship combat type situation. And they've basically, Chad has stated in one of the more recent community newsletters, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. But that the idea is to make the world map the hub that you're going to be working from for pretty much everything. So you'll probably be able to click into your Battle for Gotham matches and your Guardian Challenge matches and other things like that from there, I assume, based on what Chad said. And again, we'll take a look at that in a second. You're going to have these solo convoy missions, and basically you're going to be able to attack other players on the map. Now, one thing that Chad, reiterated or iterated on in his post is that this is going to be like a new way to obtain resources on this new world map. And that's fine. Basically, you're not going to lose resources that you've been saving. These are going to be new resources that will get added to your account. But if you get attacked, you're going to get less resources whenever you collect. So that is, I think, a key distinction to make. But let's jump over to Chad's post and we'll talk a little bit more. So he says, to start, we'd like to clarify that the recent adjustments to the world map are not intended to simply push stronger PvP confrontation. I would contest that. Our core design goal is for the world map to serve as the foundation for future key gameplay. This structure lays the strategic groundwork for modes such as Guardian Challenge, Great Krypton Rush, Battle for Gotham, and more, while gradually increasing the overall strategic depth of gameplay. I'm curious to see how this new system is going to be woven into the game, but I mean, clearly it's going to be ship-based. Says that we aim to evolve combat from isolated squad versus squad encounters into a broader experience centered on squads deployment, league coordination, and more. We also want to place greater emphasis on league identity and Earth as a shared world, further enriching cooperative gameplay and social interaction. So forcing us to work together with our leagues. And, that's kind of funny because on server 202, I'm in the biggest league on the server, and we had a Umbral Rift a couple of days ago where 8 people showed up to it. 8 people out of 100. And typically our core focus is about 25 to 40 people who show up to these server style events and the synchronous gameplay. I mean, I'm curious to see exactly how this is going to work because it's hard enough to get people to coordinate as it is, and then you add new layers like more coordination on top of that where people are having to wake up in the middle of the night just so that they can participate in these events, and I don't think it's going to go too well. But again, I'm willing to listen and see what they're trying to put together for us. So there are basically 3 main phases to what they're trying to do. The first phase is going to be integrating more gameplay into the world map. So they're going to be putting the Defeat the Dark Legion, which is like the separate coordinated assault system. It's going to go directly into the world map. So there's probably going to be like little pop-ups, little circular pop-ups where you can click on those bosses and fight them, similar to some prior mechanics that have been in the game before. But I am going to guess that it's still just going to be sending your ship to it. You're not going to be able to do an actual battle. It's still just going to be Umbral Rift style, send your ship and get your point. And the apparent reasoning for this is to try to like give people a better understanding of how the marching and rallying system works. And I think that could actually be a positive thing, especially for new players and, you know, more casual players who have a hard time understanding some of the higher level concepts. I think it would be good to, you know, start people out. Like if you're going to introduce all of these systems, it needs to be in a place that when you first log into the game, that's what you see, and, you know, that's how everything works. You don't want to, like, you know, make people think that the game is going to be played in a certain way, and then that game mode just kind of goes away as you get to level 35 War Room. So I think that could be a positive. You know, again, it's just a new world we're going to be living in, so we have to kind of learn how to adapt to it. Phase 2, they're going to be introducing this marching and relocation mechanic to the Battle for Gotham gameplay. So I'm definitely interested in seeing how that's going to work. We already have this in the Krypton Rush game mode, and actually it's been a positive change in terms of strategy and just overall, you know, keeping people involved and focused on the game mode. Now, I'm a little bit worried about how it's going to implement for Ultimate Battle for Gotham, where you have hundreds of people playing on the map and people are trying to relocate into the center. There are some comments here about relocating to avoid direct conflict, but the thing is, like, for any league that I'm in where I'm trying to be competitive, I'm telling my team to get to Gotham City Hall as fast as possible, because we're going to need our best players to be right there at the epicenter of everything, trying to launch as many rallies as possible. Nobody who's actually trying to win is going to relocate their base halfway across the map. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, maybe if they implement something where your personal base can be attacked, and then basically you're like you're not able to do anything for a little while, but that's just going to result in some very toxic gameplay if that happens. So we'll see how this works. Obviously, it does create a strategic advantage to be a first mover and get your base relocated to the right locations. And that does, I agree with this, like enabling sustained pressure. That's true. You know, talking about engaging in more spatially driven strategic decisions based on positioning, distance, and rally efficiency. I agree with all that. That does add a level of strategy to the game mode that we don't have currently. So, you know, we'll again have to monitor how that's going to work out. And then we have phase 3. So it says in the previous update, we introduced the player bases. Moving forward, we'll gradually introduce the concept of league territories, making it easier for league members to cluster and interact on the world map. This is going to be full-blown 4X strategic gameplay. It's going to be similar to pretty much all the other Fun Plus games now. So they're just embracing the fact that whatever hybrid version of this game that they were initially going to be doing did not work, and they are like done trying to make it work. I think that this marks the end of most PvE in this game. I don't see a clear path forward for them to pull in new combat cycle bosses. I don't think that's going to happen. I think most likely they're just going to completely remove Darkest Timeline from the game. I don't see why they would want to invest any time in that anymore. These are complaints that we've been making for months, if not years at this point. They hear what we're saying and they hear that we want this content, but there must not be enough of us that actually want it. It's all going to be world map based, and that's just going to be the new normal for us, the new world that we're going to be living in. Basically, they're going to be these geographical concentrations of players. If you obtain a territory from Guardian Challenge, you will be able to relocate your base there, and there are going to be certain rewards or bonuses that you're going to get by moving into a territory that your league owns. Key to this discussion is bullet point 3. Under specific rules and conditions, players will be allowed to attack other players' bases, further expanding the strategic possibilities and playability of the world map. That's a hilarious way to put it. This system is still in the planning and design phase. So saying that they're trying to address on the front end concerns around competitive pressure. And they state specifically that the gameplay will offer additional new resources and not impact existing resources or resource income systems. So I think that is a key distinction. It's helpful to have that context that basically if you are worried about losing resources that are already in your inventory, those will not be touched. You are not going to be like waking up one day and having nothing in your account. That is not going to happen. This is going to be new resources, like a new income source for your account. And obviously, whales are going to win. And, you know, light spenders, medium spenders are going to have a competitive advantage over people who don't spend at all. So, like, there's going to be a hierarchy, and that's how these games work. That's fine. Like, we have to, if you want to play, if you want to go to the casino, you have to, you know, accept the price of admission. So that's just kind of how it works. We have to accept that that's the way it's going to happen, but at least we're not going to be losing our already accumulated resources. It's just going to be a new way to get more resources for the game. And there are going to be some sort of protection mechanisms here, like shields that I already mentioned a couple of times. I think this is a good spot to end the video. What I think what the next steps are here, I'd love to hear more of your feedback in the comments. Let me know what you think about these changes. I'm sure there aren't going to be too many people who are excited about it, but I want to hear from you. Like, I need to try to gather as much feedback as possible from players and figure out, is there anyone who likes this? For the people who don't like it, you know, what would you rather see? Obviously, they do have a feedback mechanism on the official Discord page where you can leave feedback. And I think if we want to see changes in this game that reflect what the community cares about and wants to see, then we need to provide respectful and actionable feedback, like, you know, asking for the specific game modes that we've been wanting, that they have been neglecting, and talking about the bad reasons, like the cons, like give them a pro and con bullet list on what might actually be good about the world map system that they're going to be implementing versus what might be bad about it and what might send you away as a player. We have to give that feedback. If you don't voice your opinion, then you don't really have a right to complain when things get implemented. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If not, I hope I still see you in the next video in a couple of days.